You do not charge tanks with horses. That was the iron law of modern warfare by 1939. Armored columns, blitzkrieg speed, radio-coordinated dive bombers, these were the tools of conquest. Horses belonged to a bygone age, relics of dusty textbooks and forgotten cavalry charges. The world watched as Poland fell in a matter of weeks, and from Berlin to London. The verdict was unanimous: the Polish cavalry, galloping foolishly into machine gun fire with lances raised, had sealed their own fate with romantic delusion. For decades, that myth endured. Grainy propaganda reels showed German officers smirking beside broken sabers. School children learned it as a cautionary tale. Never fight the future with the past. But in September 1939, one moment repeated across forests, riverbanks, and wheat fields from Wawa to the Bzur changed everything. Not with foolish bravado, but with calculated fury, terrain mastery, and anti-tank rifles slung across saddlebags. The Polish cavalry didn't charge tanks. They ambushed them, and for 3 critical days they delayed the unstoppable. It is August 31st, 1939. You are Lieutenant Andrei Dembisky, 26 years old, lean from years of riding, with eyes that have already seen the tension coiling across Europe. Born in Toru, son of a schoolteacher and a nurse, you joined the 18th Pomeranian Ulan Regiment not for glory, but because your grandfather rode with Piłsudski in 1918. You've trained in reconnaissance, mobile warfare, and the precise coordination of mounted infantry. Your regiment over 600 men, 700 horses, a squadron of TKS tankettes, and a dozen WZ.35 anti-tank rifles is stationed near the Polish-German border, watching the horizon like a man waiting for thunder. Poland is surrounded. To the west, 1.5 million German troops mass along a 1,750-kilometer front. To the east, Stalin's Red Army waits in silence per the secret protocol of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. The world holds its breath. Poland has 39 infantry divisions. Germany has 58 plus 6 panzer divisions, thousands of aircraft, and a doctrine built on speed, shock, and annihilation. Your orders are clear: delay, disrupt, and deny. Not to win, but to give Warsaw time to mobilize, to give France and Britain time to honor their guarantees. You know the odds. You've studied Guderian's writings. You understand blitzkrieg isn't just armor, it's tempo, and tempo can be broken. On September 1st, at 4:45 a.m., the first shells fall on Westerplatte. By dawn, Stukas scream over Krakow. The invasion has begun, and your regiment receives its orders: move east toward Mława, then north to Chojnice. Intercept the German 20th Motorized Infantry Division. Slow them, bleed them, make every kilometer. Cost blood. September 1st, 1939. 11:30 a.m. you crouch in a rye field just outside the village of Krojanty. Rain slicks your greatcoat. The air smells of damp earth and burning thatch. German patrols have already torched to farms to the south. Through binoculars, you count 14 vehicles, 3 armored cars, 8 Kubel wagons, and crucially 3 Panzer I tanks, their thin armor glinting under low clouds. This is not a charge. Not yet. You signal with 2 sharp whistles. Your men dismount. The horses are led into a wooded draw, hidden from view. From saddlebags, they unstrap WZ.35 anti-tank rifles, Poland's secret weapon. Chambered in 7.9 mm, firing tungsten core rounds at 1,000 to 170 meters per second. These rifles can punch through 15 millimeters of steel at 300 meters, enough to disable a Panzer I's engine block or track. You've trained for this exact scenario: mounted mobility to reach the battlefield, then rapid dismount to deliver precision fire. You whisper the plan: flank left. Target engines, not turrets. When they stop, we close with grenades, then remount and vanish. At 12:15 p.m. the German column halts. A motorcycle scout dismounts, lights a cigarette. Too relaxed, too sure of themselves. Now, you raise your arm and drop it. 30 anti-tank rifles crack in unison. The sound is sharp, metallic like stone splitting. One Panzer I lurches, steam hissing from its side. Another spins, track severed. German soldiers scramble from Kubel wagons, shouting in confusion. They expected resistance, yes, but not here, not from horsemen. Then, the whistle. You leap onto your mount. The Uhlans surge forward not at the tanks, but at the exposed infantry. Sabers flash. Carbines bark. The Germans, trained for trench warfare or armored thrusts, are unprepared for mobile shock from 3 directions. In 90 seconds, 20 Germans lie dead. The vehicles burn, but then engines roar from the west. Reinforcements, a full company of Panzer E's, turrets swiveling. 1,500 meters out, 1,100 meters, 900 meters, fall back, you shout. Hoofs pound mud. Bullets whine past ears. One Uhlan Corporal Jan Kowalski, 19, from Bydgoszcz takes a round to the shoulder but keeps riding. Teeth clenched, blood soaking his tunic. You reach the tree line just as the first 20mm shells chew through the field, where you stood moments before. They will call this a suicide charge, a romantic folly, but you didn't charge the tanks. You ambushed a soft-skinned column, exploited their overconfidence, and vanished before armor could respond. 3 days later, near the Bzura River, you do it again, this time with the full might of the Polish Cavalry Brigade. On September 9th, you help spearhead the largest Polish counteroffensive of the campaign. 17,000 cavalrymen, supported by artillery and infantry, strike the flank of the German 8th Army. For 48 hours, you hold a 30-kilometer gap open, allowing thousands of Polish troops to retreat toward Warsaw. German radio intercepts later reveal panic. Cavalry everywhere. Impossible mobility. They appear, strike, disappear. On September 11th, you lead a night raid on a fuel depot near Wałęsa. Dismounted, you plant satchel charges under German staff cars. At 2:17 a.m., the explosion lights the sky like false dawn. You remount in darkness, riding hard east as flares blossom behind you. But the noose tightens. On September 17th, the Soviets invade from the east. Poland is now fighting to empires. On September 19th, near the village of Wola Syrosowa, you face your darkest moment. Your regiment is down to 210 men. Ammunition is low. Horses are exhausted, ribs visible beneath sweat-soaked hides. Ahead, a German armored column, 50 vehicles strong, blocking the road to Lublin. You gather your last 12 anti-tank rifles. Assign each man a target. We make it look like we're retreating, you say. Draw them into the ravine. The ruse works. The lead half-track rolls into the kill zone. But then a misfire. A jammed bolt. One rifle fails. The Germans sense hesitation. Machine guns open up. Dirt sprays. 2 Uhlans fall. For a heartbeat, it's over. Then Sergeant Marek Zeliska, veteran of the Silesian uprising, stands, exposes himself, and fires from the hip. His round hits the half-track's fuel tank. Fire erupts. Chaos follows. You seize the moment. Now, sabers out. The remaining 80 Uhlans crash into the disoriented German infantry. It's brutal, close, human. Steel on bone. Screams in 2 languages. You kill a German lieutenant with your saber, his eyes wide, not with fear, but disbelief. Cavalry? He gasps before falling. You break through. Barely. If you find this kind of forgotten history as fascinating as we do, we'd be honored if you'd hit that subscribe button. We believe these stories of genius deserve to be told, and by subscribing, you help us ensure they aren't forgotten. What the German High Command didn't know was that Poland's cavalry had been retrained since 1934 as mounted infantry, not shock cavalry of the 19th century. They carried radios. They coordinated with artillery. They used horses not for charges, but for strategic mobility across Poland's road-poor countryside, where tanks bogged down in mud and forests choked armored columns. The myth of the suicidal charge was born from a single misreported incident at Krogentid-Wisted by Italian journalist Indro Montanelli, then amplified by Nazi propaganda. In truth, Polish cavalry executed over 30 successful delaying actions in September 1st, slowing the German advance by an estimated 48 to 72 critical hours. That delay mattered. It allowed the Polish government to evacuate. It gave the French time to partially mobilize. It forced Hitler to divert reserves from the main thrust toward Warsaw. Most crucially, It exposed a flaw in blitzkrieg. Without infantry support, panzers were vulnerable to agile, terrain-savvy forces. The lesson would echo into 1940 when French cavalry units, inspired by Polish reports, attempted similar tactics in the Ardennes. By October 6th, organized Polish resistance ends. But the 18th Pomeranian Uhlans? They never surrendered. Many crossed into Hungary or Romania, then made their way to France and later Britain, to fight again in the Polish armed forces in the west. Lieutenant Andrzej Dębowski survived the campaign. Wounded near Lublin, he escaped through the Carpathians to Budapest, then joined the Polish 1st Grenadier Division in France. He fought at Narvik in 1940, then flew with the RAF as a liaison officer during the Battle of Britain. After the war, he settled in London, never once correcting strangers who mocked foolish Polish horsemen. He knew the truth didn't need defense-only witnesses. He died in 2008 at age 95. In his final interview, recorded just months before, he said, "We didn't fight tanks with lances. We fought time with courage, and for 3 days, we stole time from an empire." To this day, the 18th Pomeranian Uhlans are honored in Poland's military academies not as relics, but as masters of asymmetric warfare. Their tactics prefigured modern light cavalry concepts still used by US Army Striker Brigades and French Chasseurs Cheval. This story matters now because it reminds us that innovation isn't always about new weapons, it's about how you use what you have. When the world calls your tools obsolete, genius finds a way to make them lethal again. If this story moved you, please hit that like button. Every click tells the algorithm this piece of history is worth remembering. We're dedicated to rescuing these forgotten stories from the archives. If you want to join us on this mission, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Where are you watching from? Drop a comment with your city or state, and tell us if someone in your family served. Thank you for ensuring that Lieutenant Andrzej Dębowski and the 612 men of the 18th Pomeranian Uhlan Regiment do not disappear into silence. They deserve to be remembered.